This is Cruise Control.
Your on-air automotive magazine with co-hosts Fred Staab and Les Jackson. Everything you need to know about new and used cars. Industry news will fix or repair your car on the air. Fasten your seatbelts and let us take the wheel. Now, your ride is about to begin. Because you're on Cruise Control. Cruise Control. Cruise Control.
That's right. You're on Cruise Control, and that is your on-air automotive magazine. Of course, you know who we are because we're here every single Saturday giving you all the news we can find in the auto industry. I'm Les Jackson, and that guy at the other mic is Fred Staab. And as usual, Fred, we probably can't cover everything in the hour, but we're going to give it a shot.
We are, Les, and we have new pricing on the Corvette for 2025, but one thing is missing. We'll tell you what that missing one thing is, and if you want to buy their latest model, that might be the thing that's missing on the on the pricing. But yeah, big news. They have lowered the age of Corvette buyer and made them dig in deeper to their wallets. So we'll talk about that.
Man. And the Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in gets even better. They're doing great.
Yeah, we'll talk about that, and we'll tell you about how it's going to get even better when it comes out for 2025. So that's interesting stuff. And Ram wants to have its vehicles turn like tanks. It's our Talkin' Tech segment for this hour.
That would be interesting. And what are the safest vehicles on sale now? We're going to run down those. Maybe some surprises here.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I'm going to have an at-the-wheel review of the Hyundai Santa Fe. It's gone boxy. Ticking the box. That's what we call this review. But I spent a week in it. I'll tell you a little bit about it and give you a full review of it. It's got some unique features that I uncovered, so I think people will be glad to talk about that. Definitely has got a Range Rover and almost a Ford Flex look. Remember the Ford Flex?
I remember it well. Very practical vehicle.
Surfers loved them.
Range Rover must be getting ready to sue companies for looking too much like that.
Yeah, well, you pointed that out at the auto show that there were so many vehicles that were going to that boxy look, and it was like they're all becoming Range Rovers, right? I don't know. It's a big trend in the automotive.
People have to start talking in the English accents.
Yeah. And here's something that doesn't happen very often. Honda brought back a prototype car, a concept car that it built back in the early 80s. Brought it back, and it's going to be on display. We'll tell you about that, what's going on.
It looks contemporary.
It sure does. So we'll talk about that and more when we come back on Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Stay tuned.
He's been
Cruise Control.
Welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Fred Staab and Les Jackson. Les, we're going to delve into some pricing for Corvette for 2025. It was announced this week. Let's talk it through here. Starting with the Stingray Coupe 1LT, $69,995 to get into the 1LT. Goes up then convertible 1LT, $76,000.
right.
Stingray convertible 2LT, $84,000. Stingray convertible 3LT, $88,745. Then you get into the E-Ray the 1LZ 108, and then the 2LZ 114, the one that most people buy. And then E-Ray convertible 2LZ is $121.95. Z06. The Z06 actually is a little bit less pricey, believe it or not. We'll talk about some of these changes.
Yeah, slightly.
1LZ at $113,795. 2LZ $122,695. The Z06 2LZ convertible $129,695. And the Z06 convertible 3LZ $134,345. One of the things that's not in there is what we talked about last week, the ZL1. What will the pricing be on that?
Well, we're just guessing.
If the top convertible, the top trim Z06 convertible is $134,000.
That's right. I'm thinking the ZR1. I think I would add $100,000 to it.
Wow, really? That's aggressive. I was going to say
Well,
add
$50,000
to the 134, 175.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a world class, world beater machine.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I'm gonna stick with 175. Well, let's open it up to our audience and make sure if you are on one of our social media platforms, just put in there, what do you think the ZR1 Corvette will cost? You can use the Z06 convertible 3LZ, that is the top of the line high cost Z06, costs $134,345. So what will the ZL1 cost? I'm going to say 175 to start, but we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see. So let's talk about some of the changes in pricing. So the E-Ray, which is the hybrid model for the Corvette, is $2,000 pricier than 2024, probably due to I would say batteries and that, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Oh, of course. The cost of batteries, and especially new technology batteries, it's always higher. So you can expect that.
Yep.
And of course, the convertible is a bit pricier.
Yeah, about 7,000, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. So the
imagine sitting there at the dealership. Okay, now that'll be another 7,000, and then if you wanted this, that'll be that's another step, another 10,000.
Yeah, it's I think that's probably a common discussion going on. The Z06 Coupe got slightly less expensive. By about, I believe, $600. Yeah, about $600 cheaper, with the 1LZ coming in at $113,795, the 2LZ at $122,695, and the top spec at $127,000. $600 is not a lot in the scope of things, is it? When you're talking those kind of numbers, right?
That's right. And by the way, remember, any of these have a shipping charge of $16.95.
Yeah, so
it's $1,700.
Once again, doesn't matter when you're at those numbers.
That's right. And by the way, now the estimates coming in are saying that ZR1 will be $200,000.
Okay, all right. It could be. It certainly could be. And I'm sure there'll be markups involved too. So we don't know about the front of it with the frunk. It has additional cooling up there if there is a frunk anymore. It has that additional cooling for the turbos up there. So we're not sure. But when we come back, we'll tell you about the C8, what it has done to the demographics of the owners. So we'll talk about that. We'll also talk about something a little bit more affordable, the Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in hybrid. So stay tuned to Cruise Control. your on-air automotive magazine. Fred Staab and Les Jackson will be right back.
Cruise Control.
Welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Fred Staab and Les Jackson. We are kind of still talking about Corvettes. Of course, the big swap to mid-engine. And, what has that done to the demographic? Everyone jokes about Corvette owners being the older guys with, the long shorts and the white belts and the Izod shirt and the tall white socks, right? So
and the green pants and the white socks. I think we're stereotyping a bit much.
well, some people go as far as to dress that way on purpose, just as a joke.
Why not?
Yeah. So, but anyway, according to Chevy's information, they're attracting a lot younger and a lot wealthier customers. They have dropped their average age by 7 years, and buyers typically earn six figures, which means it's probably a good thing they earn that because they're going to be paying six figures, right?
That's exactly right. It would probably, I hope it's a lot of six figures.
Yeah, large numbers there.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, it's fun in one way, but in another way, there is no affordable entry-level GM performance vehicle, is there?
No. Well, what's entry level now? It's entry level is still 40,000.
Yeah, but nothing out there for that.
No.
Nothing out there for that. So that's the other thing too. You think about this; they're bringing out ZR1s and that with over 1,000 horsepower. It is true that when they first brought out the mid-engine model, I thought, well, it's got more horsepower than the C7, but they brought it out 495. I think it could handle that. But now they're bringing out well over 1,000 horsepower. Probably right. You do need a mid-engine platform to handle that kind of horsepower to get the weight on the rear wheels, right?
Well, exactly, and the aerodynamics as well. So, this wasn't a fluke. This was certainly planned extremely well.
The whole lineup is planned, including the Zora.
Absolutely.
Which there was a report where they took a C8 Corvette and dropped in the old ZR engine with a supercharger on it, just as a test mule, and it had a mere 850 on the horsepower, and that was to test things for the ZR1.
Too modest.
Yeah, I mean, you have to test it to see what breaks when you apply all that horsepower to it. And of course, we know that the Zora is coming, and it will be basically the drivetrain of the E-Ray up front, with the drivetrain of the ZR1 out back. How's that?
That'll be 2,000 horsepower.
I would say it's going to at least be 1,500.
Oh, 50. Oh, good. Yeah, it's got to be like.
Well, you can get a tune, and you can get 2,500.
And then, where would you go to drive it?
Well, we had this discussion this week. I said, you want to basically experience a quick, Corvette on the street, change your rear gears, right? Get a little bit more aggressive rear gear on it, and that will be, that will give you the most bang for the buck, the feel, because that's where you're going to use it when you take off.
Yeah. Because you could, in the United States, there are very few places where there are long, flat, straight roads.
Yeah.
that you can get these things up to speed.
It's bragging rights. Let's face it. It's bragging rights,
Yeah.
So,
And you could rent, Volkswagen's track in in Germany.
well, I guess if you spend 100 grand, you could do things like that. But let's talk about something a little bit more affordable, and that is the Mitsubishi plug-in hybrid Outlander. It's going to keep it looking fresh. They're going to get some updates, new 6-spoke 20-inch wheels, silver and black finish, a premium paint called Moonstone Gray Metallic. Premium paint, as we told you, is a big deal. It will also get mechanical upgrades, a newer, bigger battery, which Mitsubishi is claiming will offer a greater power output, resulting in greater all-electric driving range. So it continues to get better, doesn't it?
That's right. And there's going to be a reveal in the fall where they, will show all the upgrades.
Yeah. This is kind of a sleeper. I mean, I think it was almost the first plug-in hybrid SUV. Now there are others. Mazda has jumped on the bandwagon in a big way, and Hyundai and others. But I think some people overlook it sometimes. Don't you think?
They do, but I'm beginning to see more Mitsubishis on the road these days, which I hadn't seen kind of any a year ago.
Yeah.
So I think people are beginning to say, hey, this thing is worth looking at.
Absolutely. Excuse me. I agree. So something to keep in mind. We always like to highlight vehicles that, you might think about, maybe you don't think about, and it's something you should consider for sure. Want to talk a little tech, Les Jackson?
Let's talk a little tech.
All right. Ever driven a tank?
I have, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
I was invited, back in the late 90s to Aberdeen Proving Grounds to drive the M1 Abrams tank.
Okay.
And it was really impressive. But what they didn't tell me is they were going to fire the gun. And and you have all this gear on, and you're really isolated. But when the gun fires, it just shakes every single bone in your body.
I bet. And that's not a light vehicle either.
I said, please don't fire that thing again.
Well, let's talk about how this relates to Ram. I know that sounds like a turn, but Ram has, this is according to CarBuzz. CarBuzz has discovered a new patent filed by FCA Stellantis in the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, and describes how future Ram 1500 trucks may someday be equipped with a complex tank steer system. It is very much like the now discontinued Rivian tank turn, and more recently the electric Mercedes G-Class and its G-turn, and I believe also the electric Hummer also has this, where the electric motors on each wheel can control this unique maneuver. And, of course, a tank can basically turn sideways by using one tread and kind of dragging the other, right?
Yeah, you just turn off the left side and keep the right side going, and you make a left turn.
Yeah, so this will become more of a common thing on electric vehicles, and it will be interesting to see that. It almost looks unnatural in a vehicle, but I also think we will eventually see, as some manufacturers have talked about it, crabbing be a little bit more possible. So if you have to pull into a tight spot, the vehicle basically can move left or right. The wheels turn all the way left or right. So I don't know. Do you want to do tank turns in your Ram? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Fred Staab and Les Jackson, we will be right back. We got plenty more cruise control to go, so stay tuned.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control. We're going to move away from tanks for the moment. Far away, frankly, and get into some other car stories. Because, and speaking of cars, what do you think, Fred, are the safest vehicles on sale now?
Well, let's look at that, Les. This is according to the IIHS, Insurance Institute for Highway Safety. Let's look at some of the safest small cars, right? Because people are like, oh, you got to have a big truck to be safe. You got to have a big SUV. But here are some of the safest small cars. 2024 Acura Integra, 2024 Mazda 3 hatchback and sedan, and 2024 Toyota Prius. You got some midsize, right?
Midsize, the 24 Honda Accord and the 24 Hyundai Ioniq 6, which, of course, is one of your favorite vehicles.
It is the electric car that people like. Also getting an update, too.
Absolutely.
Getting freshened up. It's getting a fresh treatment. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. Safest large luxury cars, Genesis Electrified G80, Genesis G80, and Genesis G90. G90 is the super cruiser, isn't it?
Yep. Seems like Genesis has taken that that segment, and they've also taken the safest small SUVs, the Genesis GV60. Quite a few of these. The Honda HR-V, no surprises. The Hyundai Ioniq 5. And the Hyundai Kona, and then two Mazdas, the CX-30 and the CX-50.
A lot of times they get these ratings because of the options and the automatic braking and things like that. Are they standard? Hyundai, Genesis, a lot of those brands do that, So safest midsize SUVs, 2024 Ford Explorer, 2025 Honda Pilot, 2024 Kia Telluride, 2024 Mazda CX-90, and the 2024 Nissan Pathfinder, and 2024 Subaru Ascent. I'll
tell you, there's some really good vehicles here. The safest midsize luxury SUVs, the Acura MDX, which is, I just always think Acura is overlooked.
Yeah, I agree.
But anyway, the BMW X3, the Genesis, again, GV80, Lincoln Nautilus, which is a good vehicle. The Mercedes-Benz GLE class. It's the only Mercedes so far. And the Tesla Model Y.
Yeah. And here's one that's interesting. The safest large pickup truck, 2024 Rivian R1T.
Yeah.
That's a cool vehicle.
How about that?
Yeah. So, good information. You can find it on their IIHS.org, I believe, site, all these ratings. But good information if you're going out to buy a vehicle. Safety is something you should definitely check out, isn't it?
Well, you should. If not doing that, then when you're looking at something that you're interested in buying and you go to a dealership, look at the Monroney, the sticker on the driver's rear window, and look for the safety rating on it. It would be silly not to. You're going to look at it anyway to look at the prices. So look at the safety rating. If it's a good or better, that's great. If it's not even a good, you might start thinking, well, wait a minute, how important is safety to me?
Well, the other problem too, some of them are not tested by the time they come out. They
That's
say
right.
this vehicle has not been tested. So, how do you feel about those personally?
Yeah, that's tricky. Although the factories do computerized testing.
Right, because IIHS, as we always say, has made safety a marketable commodity,
It sure
which
did.
which
Sure
is
did.
so they strive to get these awards, which is a good thing. So you would think that they want a vehicle to be competitive if it's in the same category as some of the Safety Pick Plus models. You would think they want it to be competitive. So that's one way to look at it. But yes, I was wondering if you would not buy a vehicle because it wasn't tested.
Exactly. It would be fun. I could probably arrange it. It would be fun if we ever did the show from the test center
Yes.
down in
Riding
Charlottesville,
down the
Virginia.
track in a car about to.
No, no, I will watch you do that.
Yeah, no, that's all right. I don't need to play
Yeah,
crash test dummy.
I'm happy to let the dummies do it.
Hey, let's talk
The other,
about
the other dummies.
one of my favorite cars. I reviewed this a while back, not that long ago. A Volkswagen GTI, based around the Volkswagen Golf. Of course, we no longer get the plain old regular Golf. We only get the R2 and the GTI in the Golf. But remember, once again, we were talked earlier about another manufacturer sticking with internal combustion. Volkswagen says they want to keep the internal combustion Golf around, and hence the GTI and the others. And they may keep this platform until 2035. 10
That's
years.
really, that's looking far
They're
into the
going to make
future.
an electric version, but that will be built on a different chassis. So this older chassis will have to soldier on. Now it's a wonderful chassis. Did I mention it comes with plaid seats? I love that. But what do you think? It will if that does happen, the platform, the DNA of the current platform, it will be trace its DNA back to 2013.
Well,
2013.
I wonder if by 2035, when other vehicle platforms have, gone way past this in technology, I wonder if they'll be able to retrofit the warp drive um, and the anti-gravity device.
I'm not
But
sure.
I think it's great. I think it's a winning combination. People love it,
Yeah, good
driving it.
fun. Good
Keep
fun.
it.
Yeah, very good fun. One of the
Yeah.
most fun vehicles. One of my favorite vehicles. It's
Like
always
Miata is another one.
yeah. I would fall more into the G. I'd rather have a GTI. I think because you know why I feel claustrophobic in the
I would
Miata.
too. It rides better. It's quieter.
It's got extra
Every bit
doors.
as much fun.
Yeah, and it's got more utility. I think to throw stuff in if you have to. So just
Yeah.
my opinion though. The hate mail can
Well,
start like, oh, we love the
it's
Miata better
easier
than.
to get into.
Yeah, yeah, and it feels very European and it feels fun and
Yeah. Yeah.
it's fun to drive. So I just and it's I almost choke on this, but it is sort of affordable compared to other things we talked
Well,
about on
yeah.
this show. It's sort of affordable, but hey, if you own a Dodge Journey, remember the Dodge Journey?
I
Get rid.
sure do.
Yeah, there's going to be a recall on this. NHTSA is moving very close to recalling 1 million Dodge Journeys for fire and door lock failure. Sadly, a 73-year-old woman died in 2022 when her SUV burned and she failed to escape. That is terrible. It makes you want to carry one of those spring-loaded things to bust the side window and bail out, right?
Well, that's right.
I think I would find a way to move very quickly in that case to get out of there. But that is terrible. And,
It is.
it
All
is.
of these electronics, there's always carries the remote but distinct possibility that something could go haywire and lock you in.
Yeah. Well, in 2029, Chrysler recalled about 17,000 journeys because an unused electrical connector could corrode and short circuit and potentially cause a fire.
Yep.
So the fix for that is put a plug in it. or a big daub of silicone caulk. How's that? Even that would be good. Or
That's
some
right.
electrical tape. How's that?
I remember this was not dangerous, but I remember vividly when in the early 2000s I was testing a Volkswagen Phaeton,
I remember those.
super expensive car, and we were taking a trip up to Connecticut, and the driver's seat started folding and going up and down,
Oh my!
and driving the seat back. And I finally had to pull off to the side of the road and unplug it underneath and force it into position.
Cruise control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Fred Staab and Les Jackson. We are glad you're along for the ride. Every once in a while, Les, a new vehicle comes along that radically changes from what it was in the past. And I had reviewed the Santa Fe Calligraphy a couple of years ago. I found it to be a great driving vehicle. Pretty much had the style of other Hyundai SUVs, sort of the kind of the pinched back, the belt line that comes up a little bit, kind of a modern-looking front end. Nice. And then they changed over to something completely different. This is the 2024 Santa Fe Calligraphy 2.5T all-wheel drive SUV. They went to the boxy look, and it's unclear if Hyundai will carry this out through the rest of their lineup. They have very popular lineups, but it certainly breaks the mold. And as you so aptly put it, that there's a look where manufacturers are trying to emulate Range Rovers, the squared off look of a Range Rover, especially in the case of this one, which has the white paint and Serenity white pearl paint and the black accents and even the shape of the wheel wells. But this is what it is, definitely that kind of look, squared off, box-like. The added benefit of this is great rear visibility, by the way, because the rear window is almost upright and very, very rectangular. So we're going to take a look at this vehicle. On the inside, they have done a lot of features that give it an upscale look. That kind of dog bone pattern is reflected in the perforated leather seats. There's also a kind of a suede headliner and suede sides to the seats. We have textured wood grain plastic and the silver plastic up front. They put a lot of effort into this interior to make it look high-end. There's sort of that wood grain material like on a shelf on the dashboard. There's blue indirect lighting. Nice feature is a double phone charger, side-by-side phone charger. Great controls. They are not buttons, but they are nice haptic buttons, and there's a mix of some buttons and knobs for things like the home screen and volume and tuning and everything. I found everything easy to get to, and I also found it relatively easy to use. I love the screen in the vehicle. It gives you this depiction of the vehicle, the view, overhead view, and even a surround of what's going on around the vehicle, and of course the backup view of the vehicle. So really nice job. Got an auxiliary, a little storage area with pop-up cover. There's a shelf under that, open shelf, and then of course you're glove box, LED lighting, nice lighting goes all the way around. You can definitely tell the Genesis feel on this infotainment system. It's got all the apps that I like on Genesis, including the voice memo and phone projection. The shifting is handled by this rotating shifter that has become kind of commonplace in a lot of Hyundai vehicles. Out back, decent rear room. We've got 2 captain's chairs with arms that can come down, and then a walkway of space to walk back and get to the third row seating. Just like Genesis, it has USB hookups on the seats, and a nice automated folding seat to get to the third row, which was pretty generous. It had decent legroom. Nice little features like hooks on the back of the seats to allow for hanging things. I like that the rear console could be opened up by the rear passengers, second row passengers, and that was nice. Heated seats out back, 3-level heated seats for the captain's chairs. Overall, a nice clean look for the new interior, completely different interior. Everything is just a fresh sheet of paper on the inside, and it does a nice job of making it feel more expensive. And the third row passengers get their own controls for HVAC. They get an AC outlet and plenty of USB. As I said, rear visibility was great due to that boxy style. This feature was unique. It's a grab hold on one of the pillars. That little flap will lock, so when you're underway, people can't get into it, but it's an easier way to get up for second row passengers. Like any 3-row vehicle, when the third row is up, you get a small storage area, which is not huge. If you lift up, there's storage for the jack and some other things underneath there. If you're looking for the spare tire, it is hanging underneath the vehicle. A space saver spare is underneath there. Rear seats fold down. Pretty nice job of finishing up the storage area. They use that kind of carpet material for the most part. And good storage. Of course, with those captain's chairs, you can pass longer things through that opening. The rear hatch opens up and basically takes with it the whole back of the vehicle. Under the hood, we've got a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder turbocharged all-wheel drive engine, which can use regular gas, by the way. I found it to be plenty powerful. On the road, I found this, one of the things I liked very much about the vehicle was the heavy steering feel. So it had a good steering feel. Very, very nice. Once again, that dog bone design is played out in the headlights, and there's an LED strip that goes across the front of the vehicle. Get a little call out on the side with this faux vent that says Santa Fe. Definitely a Range Rover. I also thought it had kind of a Ford Flex look. A higher riding Ford Flex. If you remember the Ford Flex, it was the kind of big station wagon that was so popular with the surfers. So let's talk a little bit about this. What did this cost? I should mention you get the great warranty, 5-year, 60,000 mile, 10-year, 100,000 mile powertrain that any of the Hyundais get. So that is great. So we had the Calligraphy model, which is the top of the range, and that comes with a tremendous amount of features. So like many Hyundais, you don't need to go out and buy a lot of different option packages. But ours had the Serenity White Pearl paint, which was a $470 upcharge, and the carpeted floor mat. So manufacturer suggested retail $48,300. We add in the Serenity White Pearl paint, $470. The carpeted floor mats, $210. The inland freight and handling, $1,395. Brings the total price to $50,375. Mileage, 28 on the highway, 20 in the city for a combined number of 23, which is not great, but you can get a hybrid version of this if you choose. This, as you like to say, Les Jackson, is the big block version because it has the 2.5
That's right.
turbo engine. You can get a 1.6 liter turbo engine. Overall, my take on this is you look on the outside, it feels like it should be bigger when you open the door. It's a weird optical illusion. You feel like it should be a bigger vehicle on the inside when you look at the outside. I can't explain that. But as I said, driving it, I loved it. On the highway, very smooth ride, very quiet, great weight to the steering, which is something I like a lot. I liked, as I said, I like the all of the infotainment and the fact that you can charge two phones side by side. I think that's something we're going to see a lot more of, frankly. I like what they've done with the controls. I did find some of the controls a little ratchety, especially the volume control, but that's a small point. Overall, I did like the square box Santa Fe. It ticked the boxes. So there's an at-the-wheel review of the 2024 Hyundai Santa Fe Calligraphy. Time for me to say I'm Fred Staab.
I'm Les Jackson.
We're going to see you down the road.
Bye.